I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the team. I'm responsible for all things financial. I'm responsible for the P&L, the balance sheet, the cash flow. I'm responsible for risk management, for shareholder management, for steering, financial steering, and looking after our revenue and profitability growth.
My role is Deputy Director of Financial Operations, and within that there's three main pillars that we're working to push forward for the finance team. What that is that's trying to provide excellent business partnering service to the organisation. It's having a great handle on the planning situation, budgeting, forecasting and navigating any of these challenges that may pop up as we go throughout a season. And the final one is optimising our financial regulations position.
I don't really have a typical day. One of the things about being in a Formula One team is the need to be very agile. There are days where I will be in the factory, there are days where I'll be at a racetrack, there'll be days where I'll be in London perhaps with investors, but to the extent that there's something typical, it is that I spend a lot of time with the team giving advice and steering direction on how do we drive the business forward. So I spend a lot of time in performance orientated conversations, but what is very typical is we're always talking about how to improve performance on and off the track. Ultimately, success for me is about winning on the track and winning off the track. It's about making sure that we've got a strong, financially secure, well-governed business, but that will be predicated on being successful on the track as well. So for me, success is ultimately about keeping those two things in tandem.
Success for me in my role is having a highly engaged group of business partners delivering value to the organisation. We're really looking to partner with the team, look to optimise all activities within the financial regulatory environment and deliver lap time to the car.
The situation with the cost gap is you expense costs as they're incurred for R&D, which you may not do typically, but that's how the requirement works. And what that means is we took as a team a decision quite some time ago to start incurring costs for the 2026 car that you see now already in the prior years as an expense. So we didn't invest so heavily in the previous car in 2025. We fought with the car as it was at the track, and we invested very early and very heavily into this year's car. So a lot of investment has gone into that with a long term in mind. So we're now in a game of improvement and trying to find a high rate of improvement with development opportunities in the upcoming races to stay ahead.
I think global events can have a real big impact in terms of how Formula One operates. I think it's become very adept over recent years to navigating things where races may be cancelled or logistical challenges that arise, and I think that's one of the fascinating things about the sport is how it navigates some of those. But from a operational perspective, lots of challenge for the business in logistics, typically in terms of getting the right things in the right places around the world, but then also from a financial perspective, different things happen to our income streams, what we're spending, and the risks that we may incur that we need to try and mitigate.
I think the last 4 years have been very interesting from a valuation perspective. I think the sport's become way more attractive to investors. People have started to understand what the underlying business model is, and that is that there is a big revenue opportunity, and in addition to that, some fairly certain costs with a lot of long-term revenue locked in. From that point of view, we've seen valuations move from, I think back in 2019, 100 to 200 million to these days, £4.5 billion, $6 billion. In fact, Mercedes, we did a transaction at the back end of last year with a valuation of $6 billion. Netflix has changed things dramatically because what's happened is that's opened up the audience. That happened in the time around about COVID. Lots of people caught on to, what is this Formula One sport, and it's opened up an insight into behind the scenes. We didn't participate in the very first version of Netflix, and we learned quickly that this is a game changer. It has to take a lot of credit for the achievement that's opened up the sport because it was Netflix.
The advice I'd give to someone looking to get into F1 is truly go for it. I think in the first sense it's an incredibly rewarding experience if you get to be a part of it. I think the things to focus on for me would be the transferable skills. I think everything that we do here in F1 in the finance team is very much grounded upon very much like financial principles of we've got groups for accounting, for tax, for business partnering, for commercial finance, transformation. To really invest in your own personal development, to develop those skills, be ready for when the opportunity comes.
My advice to somebody wanting to join F1 would be determined. You might not get the first opportunity, but be determined. If you make it, be resilient, be prepared to work very hard, be prepared to work in a way that's all in. We say all in performance, so you need to fully commit, but then also be prepared to benefit and be rewarded for the achievements that can happen.